What's up, guys? This is Kalo, and normally I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, but welcome back to another episode of Community Kitchen, where we are cooking up some of the latest and greatest gaming headlines today. And who better to cook up this here episode with me than Aiden, my sous chef? Why don't you say what's up?
Hello.
Oh, he's
How's it
tired.
going? Yeah, I'm tired. Super tired. Mainly because Avowed is just something that you just wanted to do. I don't really care about it.
Oh, we're gonna be talking because I need to get your opinion on this. Before
I already can tell you it sucks. No romance. You can't weeb.
we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it. But before we do any of that, we'd like to say thank you to everybody here who is coming back to Game Sandwich. And if you're new here, consider subscribing, dropping a like, comment, and joining our Discord. Links to that is all in the video description down below. Now, we're here today to talk about Avowed. I feel like I'm giving a eulogy for this game, but contrary to popular belief, there's some gripes. No doubt about that. I have been enjoying it. I am about 12 to 15 hours in. I've been grinding this game, really diving into the world, and my general cliff notes for the game, it's like a working review. I haven't finished it. It's exactly what Outer Worlds is, but whenever you think of like the grander scale, like, what am I comparing this to? Let's compare Skyrim. This is Skyrim Light. I'll put it that way. That's
Okay, okay.
you're
You know
picking up
what?
what I'm
That
putting
sounds
down?
fair. That sounds fair based on everything I've seen about it so far.
Yeah. No, like it is exactly what you think an
But I mean,
Obsidian
I have a
medieval game.
list of gripes.
Oh, you
Yeah, I
have a
mean, like
list.
I have a list of gripes with it, and I've never even played it. So that just shows I'm not playing it. I don't care enough.
So I want to dive into some of my thoughts generally about this game and then kind of move from there. First up, I very much dig the story. I think I'm pretty invested in what I'm doing and my character, who he is. Also, too, real quick, I might capture some gameplay footage to kind of show people what we're doing here. My character, I went for me, obviously, because, like, who else am I going to play as? Somehow, some way, somewhere down the line, I messed up the character sliders, and my guy looks like Troy Baker with a beard. With a very, I don't know how it happened, but it did, and I have to live with that. He's got an eye tattoo. It looks like it's like right here. It's crazy. Now, the one thing I really want to talk about is combat, because we did talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance a couple weeks ago, and what this game offers me is what I'm looking for combat. Like, it's not complex. It's very, here's your parry, here's your block. If you want, try to use your magic, or here's a great sword that's two-handed. It's very much basic level stuff. Am I a fool for saying I enjoy that? Maybe, because some people are enjoying the higher end stuff in Kingdom Come. From what you've seen, what do you think of it?
I mean, from what I've seen of it, guns are overpowered, and that's the only thing worth using in the game.
I mean, that's
Oh, and
fair.
when you're using magic, you look like you're like a poor student from Hogwarts because you're like, man, man, man.
That's the thing that gets me, where it's like, all right, in the game, you'll go through your weapons, and like there's single-handed stuff, double-handed stuff, your basic archery, like your bow, and then you'll get into like pistols, and then you get into like a rifle, and then you're gonna get into all the spell stuff, where you could use a book that's in your left hand, and then you can use a gun in your right, or you can use a wand and then reverse that. So it's like, there's a lot there. Again, I want to stress the point, I'm very early into this game, but there's levels to the combat that I kind of dig. And it's like, all right, maybe if I'm not doing anything, I might go back to this game later down the road and be like, no, I'm going to try to do this as a mage, or I'm just going to do archery and stuff like that. But it's nice. And also, too, with the guns, you don't need ammunition. So you can just be blasting, and there's no kind of repercussion where if you miss a shot, which you will, it's nice to not have ammunition.
No, I get that. I get that. I mean, my main thing that I've seen with the combat that like my main gripe with it is the lack of detail in the combat, is what I would say. Just mainly because I've noticed that there's like for archery, for instance, if you go and fire a bow, like you shoot an arrow or whatever, hit a tree, yada yada yada. Like 30 seconds past, that arrow's gone. You can't pick up your arrows,
No, you can't.
and that kind of really bothers me because it's like, okay, in a game from 2011 from Skyrim, we can walk around and pick up our arrows individually, but you're telling me that Obsidian can't do that in Avowed?
Well,
Come on, like a little more detail.
Well, this ties into the plot line heading out from the release of the game, where constantly online I'm seeing like, here's Elder Scrolls Skyrim and here's Avowed. You can use your fire magic and it heats up the water. You can light characters on fire. And I get the comparison, but at the same time, much like I said with this is Skyrim Light, you gotta come at it with a different viewpoint as far as like, this is not Bethesda making the game, this is Obsidian, and it's not trying to be like Skyrim. I mean, it is trying to be like Skyrim, but it's far less aiming for that demographic.
Can I bash on it then with because it's Obsidian? I'll leave Bethesda out of this. It's Obsidian. Why can't I murder every single NPC and still be able to complete the game? Because that was one of my main selling point. That was one of the main selling points of Outer Worlds.
I mean, that's fairly telling. You want to just kill everybody, which
No, but it's
there are people that
disappointing.
deserve it in that game. There are people that deserve it.
It's so disappointing though. You can't just like be like, oh man, because my thing is, and I did this in Baldur's Gate. Okay, like you can call me murder hobo all you want, or very impulsive, or whatever. But I don't. Did you ever play Baldur's Gate?
I did a little bit.
You played it.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you at least make it to the Druid Grove?
Yes.
Okay. So in the Druid Grove, you meet this one lady, and immediately she is racist towards all of the like tieflings.
Yeah.
And like immediately the druids are racist towards the tieflings. And like they're racist towards you if you're a drow. And like they wanted to kill this little tiefling girl because she tried to steal something. And so I immediately was like, okay, that's it. Murder all the druids. And I said, I am not dealing with that.
No.
And then like after that, every character I ran into that was like an extreme, I guess I don't know what I can say without being bleeped. But whoever was extremely mean, I would just immediately be like, "You're dead.
No,
I'm not putting up with it."
Because you deserve it. Like I totally get that. And to kind of clarify what I was saying earlier about like Avowed not trying to be like Skyrim, one for one, these are essentially the same games: magic, swords, yada yada yada. You're the chosen one. You go on a quest, whatever. But it's like comparing the Outer Worlds to Starfield. They're the same thing, but different in many ways. You know what I mean? Like, it's not...
Yeah.
People were like, oh, Outer Worlds is just Skyrim in space. No, it's not. Like, it's an entirely different thing. It has its own humor. It has this and that. So, again, there are things there in the fundamental makeup of the game that I think, like, make it different. And, you talk about NPCs and what you want to do with them. Well, let me tell you what you can't do to them, and you can't romance anybody. Now, IGN posted this thing where they talked more with the game's director to kind of get a better feel as to why this happened. Now, the main emphasis here, and this is all by Rebecca Valentine, great job here. I think she was on Podcast Unlocked, by the way, so go check out that podcast. Their main thing... they wanted to forgo this dedicated romance system and focus on, quote, building thoughtful relationships with companions instead. AKA, I want to be best friends with my companions, not get in bed with them.
Why can't you do both? I want to be best friends with them and get laid.
Now, I get it. I'm the same way. I play games like Mass Effect. I play games like Skyrim. I play all of them where you can have that option to romance people. And whenever we talk about Avowed, I like the characters you're with. Like your party that you have set up, it's great. You can meet separate people and they can join in as well. there are some people that I might be like, hey, I really like what you're doing here. And if we're playing a role playing game, like, sure, add in these options, but they said that it would take away from the story. Do you feel like it takes away from the story where it's like people will focus so much on romancing where it's like you're not going to do the main stuff, which I don't think that's true at all.
I want to say, I want to say it wouldn't, but then I've seen the Baldur's Gate players.
Baldur's Gate community is very horny. Let's just address it right
So,
now. We're addressing it. It has to happen. That's a very horny
so my
community.
So, like, my thought process is no, it wouldn't take away from it. And I have nothing against the romance thing. I just like
No.
make jokes or whatever. Like, I don't really care if you can romance, if you can't romance. It's a nice bonus feature. Like, if you are like trying to, I don't want to be like, oh, if you're trying to be like a weeb or something, like,
No.
but like if you're trying to be like, like if you want to get to know a character, you want to continue to get to know them and like build a relationship and you want to enjoy it, then that's important, I
Yeah,
guess, for some
no.
people. I mean, for me, it's hit or miss. It's just like, hey, yeah, the romance is fun, but like it's not necessary at all for a good story. And if your characters are good, then that should be all that matters. Like, and if all the companion characters are good in Avowed, then there you go. That's all you really need is just to have good characters.
I think the gripe with why people are having problems with this, whenever you play an RPG, like there is the main story, like, hey, this is what you got to do, this is your quest, this is who you are. But as gamers, you and I, we're sitting here playing the game, following the story, but we're also crafting our own story in our heads, where it's like, oh, like this is an added layer to my character. Like it's not spelled out in the game, but like this is like, oh, we were on a quest 15 years ago and like this is how I got that scar. That option isn't explored in the game. Whenever we talk about romance and stuff like that, you do that quest line to get the ability to romance somebody. You're in your head forming this story where it's like, yeah, like we explored the galaxy together, we explored the lands together. This is what happened here. I recently in Starfield, I really liked the romance options in that game. The quests leading up to them, they were fun. They didn't take away. If anything, they built up that story more. So when I don't see it in Avowed, I agree with you. It's not going to make or break the thing. I'm just joking in that regard. But to kind of say it takes away from the story, again, like more in an RPG is better. Unless it's like some weird thing. It's like go collect 7 apples and like here's some gold pieces. Like I don't need that story. Just give me a romance option and we'll be happy.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like it doesn't really take away, but I mean, to each their own. I mean, some people feel like it does take away, and like then there's some people who are like, oh, they look at Baldur's Gate 3 and they're like, man, there's too many horny people in that game.
I feel like this is all where that's coming from. I feel like people are like,
Yeah,
oh, we've been here before. Fantasyland, good-looking characters. We don't trust them with that. It's too much.
yeah,
Valentine's Day happened, people were emotions were at an all-time high. Spring fever, if you will. But yeah, again, just general thoughts about this game. I dig it. Like as a fan of Skyrim, as a fan of Bethesda RPGs, again, this is Obsidian. They made Fallout New Vegas, so take that for what it will. Whenever we first seen the game, I was like, all right, what is this going to be? I don't know. But then getting my hands on it, actually playing it, the game looks beautiful. Like that first area you're in, that's kind of like a seaport area. It's amazing. It looks beautiful. And the more I play, it adds different dialogue options as well. Like if you pick your background for your character, it's even better. I love it. Yeah, exactly. See?
what's the dialogue like? I'm just curious because I haven't seen anyone post videos of the dialogue. Is it like New Vegas is or whatever, like again, where you have like different dialogue options and all
you
that?
you have the different dialogue options, and then like whenever I made my character, my backstory or like my special ability was a war hero, where like I fight a lot, I'm a soldier, I use swords. In the dialogue tree, it'll come up like, hey, your war hero perk is at like a 4 out of 10 or 4 out of 4. you can pick that dialogue option, and it's like, oh, this is more badass line, or this is whatever, or like you can intimidate
Oh, okay.
somebody. So like it works. Like I think it's very, for what it is, I dig it. And there are some times where like I do pick the war hero option, or I just opt for like, hey, this is the basic line, which I want to add at some point in time. RPGs, can we get voiced characters? I know it's a lot to do,
No,
but like
I like the silent protagonist.
I don't. I like the,
That's
again,
kind of like Obsidian's thing.
I get it, but like also too, I'm a stupid person. I don't want to read everything. I want to hear it. Like, let's cut it. Come on, just give me some voices.
I mean, I am happy with it in some regards. So like,
Yeah,
I do enjoy it for like games like Kingdom Come, where like you have dialogue options, but then it also makes you like it makes Henry speak. Same thing with like Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I loved that you could choose an option and then Aloy would speak. But there's something about the silent protagonist I really enjoy. Like whenever you're playing an Obsidian game,
yeah,
I like the silent protagonist,
yeah.
and that's like something they are known for.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
so, really, I don't know. I saw this like the other day, like too, with like if a company like if you really love their dialogue, and it's always like, oh man, I love the way they did their dialogue. I love the dialogue trees and everything, and then they stick with it, and that's their thing. And then 2 games later, you're going to complain about their thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh,
Then
come
come
on.
on,
Yeah,
just
no.
play something else. Then
No, I get it fully. But I do like Avowed. I think it's a pretty damn good game. I recommend people, if you're on the fence, go check it out. It's on Game Pass. That's not a sponsored thing, but it's worth it. It's out there. Go try it out. And yeah, I'm still going to be ingrained in this game until who knows what game comes out that kind of takes me away from it.
Like, give me a number. What number out of 10 would you say it
Out
is
of
so
10.
far? 15 hours.
I give it a 7.5, near an 8
Okay.
out of 10. Like, again, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's not anything groundbreaking where it's like, oh my gosh, game of the year. I just think it's a good game. And nowadays,
Yeah.
we need good games. We need good games to kind of just hop into and be like, yeah, that was the time. That was good. Let's have a good day.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, we're talking about Obsidian, much like Outer Worlds and all that. Whenever that game dropped, people are like, yeah, like, all right, it was good. And now it's become a cult classic. I think that's what's going to happen with Avowed, where it's like, oh, you spend more time with it. You kind of let the initial wave die out. People play it. People are going to be like, yeah, that was a good game. Like, it's worth it. And Avowed 2 is going to be out in, like, 5 years.
Like I said, my biggest gripe, and like that's literally my biggest gripe, is just like, I care, like, so Outer Worlds set this specific notion in mind that Obsidian was going to start doing RPGs in a specific way.
Yeah.
And now Avowed comes out and you can't do, like, you literally cannot be a menace to society in the slightest. And I'm like, but I want to be a menace.
But I want to.
Hear me out here. I want to like walk into a town and just be like, hey, I don't like that you're harassing that homeless person. Punch you.
Boom, right in the face. Which, it also begs the question, I mean, we're talking about Obsidian and Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds 2 is apparently slated for this year. Oh my gosh, voice crack. Outer Worlds 2 is slated for this year. What are we feeling about that? Are we worried about, because what happened in Avowed, that, they're going to switch the formula, so to speak? I'm not worried. I'll just put it out there. Outer Worlds 2 is going to slap. It's going to slap. Absolutely.
If they continue it and just make it exactly like the original Outer Worlds, I'm going to love it. Because I loved Outer Worlds.
There you go. Well, that's my thoughts on Avowed right now. Maybe we'll do something later down the road if we revisit it. Who knows? But if you want to talk more about this game or any of your favorite games, what you're playing currently, join our Discord, because the links to that is all in the video description down below. And if you're new here to Game Sandwich, consider subscribing for all the latest gaming news, rumors, and reviews. But as of right now, I've been Kalo, joined by Aiden. If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.